Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Legacy, the podcast where we delve into the stories that shape our lives and the lessons we carry forward. I'm your host, Cedric D. Nelson, and I'm excited to embark on this journey of discovery, growth, and inspiration with you. Each episode will explore the triumphs, challenges, and pivotal moments that define who we are and who we aspire to be. From personal stories to enlightening conversations with guests from all walks of life. We'll uncover the wisdom, insights, and perspectives that illuminate the path to a meaningful existence. Whether you're seeking motivation, guidance, or simply a moment of reflection, Life, Lessons, and Legacy is here to accompany you on your quest for fulfillment and purpose. So sit back, open your mind, and let's embark on this transformative journey together. And I think that's where college came. You also somebody going to college. It helped you to broaden your horizons because I tell my kids, that's it. Because when you grow up in the communities, you see what's around you, and you have to have that vision that I can do more than what I see. I know I did. I can do more than I see. But man, when you get there, it's around other people, like they say, iron sharpens iron, and everyone else is actually going to class and not partying all night and trying to make good grades. I never forget it, Chad. I was at a Mississippi State, and I used to play basketball every day. My sophomore year, I ran track, so I would leave the track, run track from 2 to 4:30. You come, you lift weights for an hour, then you go eat, you wore out. Once I reached re-energized, I would go to the gym from like 6:30 to 11 o'clock. And I'm like, what am I doing? It was a older guy. Who was his name? I think his name was Ed. He was an older guy. He was a captain. And he said, hey, come here, man. Let me talk to you for a minute. I'm looking like, what do you want? I'm ready to play. He's like, when do you go to class? And when do you do your homework and studying? I was like, what? Because in high school, I really didn't have to study. I could go to class, listen, make A's and B's, whatever.
Academically astute.
Yeah. So he said, when do you actually go to class and when do you study? Because every time I come to the gym, I see you. And I only come twice a week, but every time I come, I see you. When I come here to work out, you're in the gym. When I leave my workouts, you're in the gym. And it hit me that, you know what? At some point in time, I'm gonna have to get out of here and get a job. So I probably need to be going to class and get, but I say that it broadens your horizon because you see other people who are actually not just there having fun. They actually want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a politician, and you start being like, okay, iron sharpens iron. It broadens even you and I having this conversation, it helps because now you see opportunities I didn't even know were there when I was in college.
So. Yeah. And you just got to thug it out. So you made a comment about the environment you grew up in and you saw and you had the dream beyond that environment, correct? That's why I come in. I want to change that environment so that they don't have to live there. So earlier they can see the opportunity and start dreaming earlier. Right?
Yeah.
So what I do in my job every day is trying to make life better so that they can open up their eyes and have enough breathing room to dream. See, a lot of times what people don't understand, when you operate in the realm of poverty, it's survival.
Yeah, that's it.
If you operate in the middle class and the upper middle class, I'm gonna make up a word. It's thrivival.
I'm with you.
Because you could thrive. You could take a break and breathe and go to the library and study. You could tamper and tinkle with a computer all day and become Bill Gates and Steve Jobs because you're not worried about what you're going to eat. You're not worried about what your sister or your baby brother's going to eat. You're not worried about being a victim of community violence. You know what I'm saying? You're not worried about if your dad's gonna come home that night or next month or months away because he might be incarcerated.
Eviction,
like you're not worried about those things. And you have the ability to take a breath and dream and envision and plan. When you're in poverty, it's all survival.
Day by day.
Day by day. That's how so many of our young men get caught up in criminality.
Yeah.
You got a decision. Do I go work at McDonald's for a week and make $500, or do I carry this package in my backpack on my bike across town 15 minutes and get $500?
Exactly.
When you're in survival mode, you're gonna do what's fastest.
Yep. Chad, and like this wasn't even one of my questions, but now I think about it, it's great we're talking about because I tell people if you don't grow up in that environment, you can't understand it. No. I tell people all the time, like oh my God, these kids are doing this and that. I'm like, yes, sometimes there are bad apples. But you got to understand what it's like growing up in an environment where you are literally trying to survive. Where you might be 12 years old and you're taking care of the whole family.
Yeah.
You can't understand, like you say, just that survival mode.
But what's interesting about you saying that too? We make those people our heroes.
Yep.
Because we know where they come from and what they had to go through to get to a level of success.
Yep.
And the one thing I don't like about hip hop is we've made those guys such heroes because the industry has forced us to only look at impoverished rappers who grew up in dire circumstances as real heroes. We never look at the poor people like Will Smith, who's quintessentially a hero too.
Yeah.
He grew up in Philly, but he didn't choose to rap and do gangster rap or do all the other things that were detrimental to our community for him to get the level of success he does. And so now you got kids who are in middle class and upper middle class communities want to emulate those young people that really came from dire circumstances as heroes, which is a good thing, and they are our heroes. As a matter of fact, they're superheroes. But when you start changing your behavior to want to act like a criminal or come from dire circumstances and you don't have to be, something is terribly wrong. So what happens then is because we don't have middle class and upper middle class heroes showcased enough for those young people to look to them as heroes, they go to the only heroes that they see: professional athletes, artists, entertainers, people that come from real dire circumstances. And in other communities where it's different, you got people like Steve Jobs, who's a hero that came from the middle class. You got Elon Musk, who came from the middle class. You know what I'm saying? So we have to change our paradigm shift in thinking a lot about what is important to us. A dad just taking care of his children in our community is a hero.
He's a hero.
Because we know statistically it's not happening. So I always used to joke that in our community, Father's Day need to become a holiday.
Oh yeah.
Because in our community, we like to be a part of things that are big. If we start glamorizing Father's Day for real fathers, other men will look and see that as an example and want to be fathers.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
These ladies out here, you want to impact how a man is a father, stop dating men that don't take care of their kids.
That's it, Chad. That limits a lot of the problem right there.
Yeah. Be like, oh, you don't take care of your kids, I ain't gonna holler at you.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And the brothers that are doing what they are supposed to do, celebrate them. Celebrate them. And then I think you'll get a paradigm shift in our community where they say, oh man, this dude appears to be a hero because he just simply takes care of his children. You know?
And it's crazy. I remember even coaching football and track, and basketball, and those kids that didn't have a father in their lives. I would try to, they would kind of gravitate to me because I'm always going to be positive. I'm going to try to tell them the life lessons, try to build them up, because how do I say it? A woman can raise a man. Sometimes they don't have a choice. There's no father there, but it usually takes a man to teach a man how to be a man.
Absolutely.
Because it's a totally different world, and not that no slight against anybody, but you and I know as men, as black men, and as fathers, it's a totally different world out here. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody really cares about what you got going on. They want results. And you have to be mindful of how you interact with others, because again, you don't want to be incarcerated or do anything, so you can't be here to raise your children.
Absolutely.
And I tell them, I say it's a hard life. And that's why it's important to have relationships like, me, you, and Reed all getting together, and other fellows you can kind of bounce ideas off of, because it's kind of solidary. It's very solitary. I mean, you just kind of going through trying to figure it out.
I'll tell you, I look up to all the coaches I coached with. All of them. I wanted to be a part of that fraternity when I brought Trinity out there to have her run track, the way y'all were working with the kids, the way the kids looked up to you, the way we were out there winning because you dedicated your time, didn't get paid. And now we all know we were out there because of our kids, but
right.
That's what it takes. We were out there parenting our kids and other children as well. And now, I mean, Reed just posted something of a young lady or a young man. I think it was a young lady.
Young lady, yeah.
That was in Olympic trials.
Yeah.
Almost made the Olympic team.
Yep.
From Memphis, Tennessee.
Yep.
That is a young lady he coached.
Yep. Memphis Mustangs.
Yes.
Yep.
And so what I'm saying is, like, just seeing y'all and being a part of that camaraderie in that group, it made me feel really special. I hate that we stopped coaching, man.
Me too.
It was some good time.
Me,
was. You, Reed, all the coaches, man.
Yep.
It was just a good time, man.
It was.
It was a good time, and I enjoyed it. And that we need to do more of that. We need to do more of that.
We do, because you're having an impact. We definitely have an impact. Those kids still looking up to Coach Chad. You know, they're still looking for you when you see them somewhere. Because some of the kids you coach, one of the kids, Peyton, ran track with CJ, and CJ was kind of going between baseball and track. But it was just good seeing. I was like, hey man, you know, I remember you. You know, and they remember you. They kind of light up like, oh
Peyton
man,
was my guy too.
Oh yeah, athlete. You know, just one of those guys. Yeah. But no, man, I think it's important what we're talking about. Just trying to be impactful in other people's lives. You know, like you say, we're going to be there for our kids, but because I'm there for my kid doesn't mean I can't pour into another kid that I see that may be lacking.
And we got to do a lot more of that.
Yeah, because growing up, you know, like I said, my father wasn't in my life like that. So the coaches that I did have, my uncles and cousins and other people in the community, they poured into me. And kids really appreciate that, because if you don't find somebody that pours into them in a positive way, like you said, they end up having someone that's pouring into them that's negative. Yeah. And then next thing you know, you're going down the wrong path. And a lot of times you start getting yourself in certain situations, it's hard to recover from it. Yep. You know, you become a number instead of an individual. So
absolutely.
All right. So life lessons. So my next question, who's been the single most inspirational person in your life, past or present?
Perfect segue.
Okay.
Past and present, my dad.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. And it's something I'm not sure you know. My track coach was my dad. My dad coached me. My dad coached my brother. My dad was a teacher. He taught me and all my siblings at the high school I went to.
Okay.
My dad was a trainer. I mean, my dad is still with us now. In fact, shout out to Pops. He just beat cancer. That's what's up. My dad raised other kids. My dad was the guy that everybody called when their kid wasn't getting up going to school. And there were times that my dad would see enough in them athletically that he would go pick them up and bring them to school to play sports.
That's what's up.
And stay on them so they could graduate and pass class. My father was a father to my cousins. My sister is my half sister, but my dad was a father to her. My step siblings, my dad was a father to them. My dad was a father to my friends. My friends go see my dad.
Really?
That's right. And they refer to him in my hometown in Slidell as coach.
He coached everybody.
He coached everybody. I went to Texas. I moved to Texas after I got out of graduate school, and they were these two really great athletes that I looked up to. One of them owned the barbershop, became a great entrepreneur, had done tracking in college. And then the other one was a really good basketball player. So my dad taught, my dad coached, my dad was a referee. And then he became the second African-American athletic director in St. Tammany Parish ever.
Wow.
So last summer, they named our high school track facility after my father.
That's an honor.
That track was an asphalt track when I got there, when I was like in junior high. He was the first one really trying to lay a rubber track and build a program, right? So everybody knows him as coach. He's a deacon at the church. He's the head deacon at our church there. They call him coach. They refer to him as coach. But I seen my daddy raise other kids. I got friends I can remember that didn't have as much as us. My dad say, don't pick with him, don't tease him, give him these shoes. Or I got a new pair of shoes, an extra pair of shoes on sale, give it to them. Give them some clothes. Give them a ride. My dad saw this young man that was a friend of mine. He helped him get into college. He helped him go to Grambling.
Wow.
And while at Grambling, he had a asthmatic coma and passed away. My dad stopped going to the Bayou Classic because my friend Brent, rest in peace, my friend Brent would have went pro.
Really?
He started selling his jerseys in a Foot Locker with his number on it and so forth. Brent would have went pro.
Wow.
And so my dad coached a lot of people like that. Like the two gentlemen I ran into in Texas, they saw me out. They came to me and they was like, "You coach Bowman's son?" I say, "Yeah." I said, "I know you. You went to Slaughter High. You went to Slaughter High too." And they was like, "Yeah. Man, your dad used to train us when we came home from college." So he would train athletes that didn't go to our high school in the off season. My daddy coached a pro football athlete that he would train in the summertime, you know.
Wow.
So when they did, and I'm talking all races, this is not just black kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They speak highly of my father. And that made me want to leave a legacy. That's why I was coaching with you guys. It's in me. You know?
Exactly.
So my dad writing a book now.
Really?
Yes.
Definitely let me know. We'll definitely grab a copy.
Definitely writing a book now, but he's done amazing things from the level of a teacher and a coach. Like I've seen him impact other kids' lives. And it instilled something in me. One of my buddies called me up one day and said to me, "Thank you for being an example."
Wow.
So that lets me know manhood is not innate. It's not something we just have. We need to teach more young brothers manhood and fatherhood.
I agree. Because I think a lot of times people automatically want to be a great father. You should, but not everyone even knows what that looks like. You know, because I tell people, like in my book, I talk about perspective. You know, like I say, mine wasn't really in my life. Yours was definitely in your life and very impactful. So I could have very easily been like, well, my father was in my life, so when I do have kids, forget those kids. But it had the opposite effect on me. It made me want to be the father I wish I had. And for you to see your example of your father, it made you realize, like, okay, I'm part of his legacy. So I'm going to be an amazing father to my children. And I'm actually pour into other kids that I'm going to be like my father. I would tell you this, Chad, something that I've learned since I've been doing this podcast. When I asked that question, and I'm going to go back and listen to all the different episodes. I think we had like 30, 40 episodes now. I'm going to go back and listen, man. I'm pretty sure, though, every time I've asked that question, if the young man or young lady had a father that was actually heavily involved in their life, that's always the person that's the most inspirational. And it's crazy. You know, every time, if that person's father was in their life, when I ask that question, they answer it. A lot of times they become teary-eyed and get emotional because they think about the impact of having that father figure there. Yeah.
Man. My dad, when he was going through his battle with cancer, he actually called me to come home.
I remember that.
And I didn't know if that was gonna be the last time I saw him or not. So I took the train home and I thought about him raising me. And then I think about how I'm raising my kids. And I can remember when my dad and mom divorced, and I lived in Texas, in Houston, and my dad was still in Slidell. My dad drove to Houston to come celebrate my birthday with me and my friend. And he was always there.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom would be like, "I'm gonna call your daddy." I was so scared. And then at some point I wound up moving back home with my dad, and he raised me into manhood. I always tell people I could have easily been Trey from Boys in the Hood.
Gotcha.
And my dad is definitely Furious Styles.
100%, huh?
Me, for everybody else too, you know?
Yeah. Wow, man. The impact, man.
Yeah.
Impact, you know.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, me out there dating and looking for a wife, I look for women who've had relationships with their dad. To me, you could tell you can kind of tell. Because not only do that helps them to recognize who I am.
Yep. Who you are, what you're supposed to be, what your role is supposed to be, the things you're supposed to offer.
And I think they can appreciate it, right? But if a woman really does not understand, sometimes they don't understand.
Yeah. And it's hard, I'm guessing, trying to get someone to understand sometimes if they're not used to it. I tell Sarah all the time, like, you shouldn't pull up at the gas station and be pumping your own gas if you got a man in the car with you.
That's right.
I
hate to see a man sitting in the passenger side while the woman pumping gas.
Yeah.
I'll be looking at him with disgust like.
Right. And this is what you're going to be with? Because I'm like, she out here changing the tire and his joker's up there playing on his phone. And I say, with being a father and being an impactful father, you set the standard for what is and isn't going to be accepted. Now, they may accept less when they're younger, when they're trying to find out who they are and all that. But as they get older, they start realizing,
they don't know.
Yeah, like, no, my dad was always here. So I'm not trying to date some guy that's not going to be here for their children. Yeah. Like I said, we set this standard. Moms are great. Moms are amazing. My grandmother was an amazing woman, poured into me every day, taught me to be the man that I am. But it's definitely something, like you say, about fatherhood and about being a man and just being present. Just knowing you can call your dad and your dad's going to tell you the truth. He may be hard on you sometimes, may not, but it's all out of love. He's not just dissing you because he wants to be mean. He's actually trying to help you become the man that you're supposed to be.
Yeah. And I think about that with my son. And my daughters.
Yeah.
I want them to understand, like, this is what a man should be. I'm not perfect.
Right. No, none of us.
I fuss a little bit and,
Sometimes they make you curse, Jay.
I have a drink every now and then, but this is what dad mean. I'm going to go to the edge of the earth to provide for you. Make sure you have what you have. I'm going to wake you up on Sunday morning so you can learn about God early.
That's it.
The first thing I should have said as a life lesson, and I can't forget, building a strong relationship with God. That's the first thing I wish I had done sooner.
Yep.
Because going through life halfway knowing God or not knowing God made it much harder than it had to be.
Makes it difficult.
When I tapped into my spiritual self for the Most High, that's when things started moving.
Yeah.
And if I would have known that when I was young, oh man, no telling where I would have been at this point.
Make life a lot easier. I say this all the time on the podcast. My grandmother's one thing she instilled in me. Had me going to church early, had me working in the church. Because I say this all the time. I said it in my book. She told me, baby, I love you to death. And I would love to be here for the rest of your life. But there's a chance that one day I'm not going to be here. And you're going to need somebody to talk to and turn to. And that's where God is always going to be. So you need to get a relationship with God. And I've been trying to instill in my children as they grow up. Because like you say, the earlier that you realize the importance of God and how impactful God is in your life every day, even when you don't always see it, life is a whole lot easier.
Oh, yeah. There's been a lot of situations that I couldn't see through. And I just say, help me, God, And before you know it, I've gone through it.
Yep.
And I hear people make mockery of Christianity and God and different religions. I mean, that's their argument. I have seen divine order in my life.
You and I both.
So like I could tell you about what I've seen as a result of divine order, but it's up to you to believe it and try it for yourself. But sometimes, God will convict you to believe in his existence or her existence. But learning about your higher spiritual self, your instincts, your intuition, having faith, being fearless, that all comes from the notion and the belief that you are covered by something. Right?
Yeah.
And you can not acknowledge it and see how life go. You may look up.
Yeah. Like
or
you say,
you
look
can
up.
acknowledge it.
Yeah. Because I know, Chad, there's been times for me, I've said it before, where I've been in situations where I don't see how it's going to work out. Like, I don't know how I'm going to figure this out. Like, I mean, I've done everything I can myself as a man to try to figure it out. And like you say, when it actually works out, There is no other explanation other than it's divine intervention. It's God.
It's divine intervention.
You know,
It's grace.
Yeah, grace. That's it. You know, and I try to grant people grace because I ask for grace. Even my marriage, I ask for my wife for grace, and I'm gonna give her grace because none of, like you said, none of us are perfect.
I agree.
You know,
that's what, you know. I ain't trying to get real deep. You
you
know how
good?
people call us gods and earths, and the 5%ers believe in that. That's what makes us like God. God can extend grace to us, but we can also extend grace to others. God can bless us. We can bless others.
Yep. You coaching was blessing your father and all the stuff he did.
Yeah.
That's you know, that's grace. That is being a blessing to others, and that's how you get your blessings back. You know, and I'm gonna tell you something else to do, Chad, and I'll move on to the next question. I always make sure to thank God when things go great. I thank God when I'm going through trying times because I realize He's just building me up for something better on the other side of it. Like in all things, I thank God, and it's so crazy. My grandma used to say this to me all the time as a kid. In all situations, thank God. And I'm like, well, Grandma, you know, Mom, we trying to find something to eat, so I don't know how much I'm thanking God for, you know. But when you get older, you start realizing like even the meals that you eat, even us having our faculties, you know, everything is a blessing. There's people who, again, will never experience the life that you've experienced. They will never, you know, the life I experienced. We're just blessed, and sometimes we don't see it that way because we you know, most people, we're just selfish people. We think of ourselves first. You know, what about me? You know, so
absolutely.
So, all right. So my last question, well, next to last question, I've kind of already covered it. I say we all have an expiration date. You know, we'll all leave here at some point in time. So what do you want your legacy to be that you leave behind?
I want my legacy to be a community builder.
Okay.
A builder of men.
Okay.
Of men that look like myself.
Okay.
So that they can move forward and do some of the things that I have. So they'll be inspired to want to improve their communities and be fathers and make the world a better place. Our community, we just have seen so much struggle. Like at some point, we have to man up and address it. So I want my legacy to be in the area of planning and community development and fatherhood.
Okay.
And mentorship. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Because that's what I've seen.
Yeah. And it works.
So I want to pass it on.
Yeah. You know, I'm trying to put together a panel. I've been saying it for a while. I've been so busy, but I'll definitely invite you to be on the panel if you're willing to do it. And it talks about that, about manhood, about investing in the community, about mentorship, about what we need to do to impact the next generation. Because, you know, we're at a point now, Chad, we're pretty much elders or becoming elders. So we need to pass it on to the next generation. I tell people, not everyone has a Chad Bowman in their house to talk to them every day, or a Cedric Nelson, or you know, your father, or even Reed, you know, somebody to talk to them, impact them in coaching and just making them believe in themselves. So I think it'll be great to have a panel where one, we could do a podcast so we can kind of broadcast it out. That's one of the reasons for the podcast, to try to pass on the life lessons that we've learned to build a legacy. So we'll get together, like-minded men and women, and just kind of sit down and kind of, you know, bounce ideas off each other and brainstorm and just talk to the community. So I'll let you know when that is and see if you're available. I think what you did as far as track and just the impact your father had, this conversation we're having, you told about your father before, but hearing even more about your father, man, it's just amazing. Just an amazing person and a blessing to everyone he came in contact with, evidently.
Because if he touched me in that way, he has others too. You know, we always talk about Newton law in terms of energy. Energy can not be created or destroyed. It is only transferred from one, you know.
Yeah.
I thought about that one day. Life energy like that too. And I was telling a lady of mine that I was involved with, I said, you know, when you're in a really good relationship and you got that love and it's transferred to you, you want that to transfer to other people. Because you're so full of it, you got to share it. And sometimes businesses are birthed out of that. Sometimes ministries are birthed out of that. Sometimes children are birthed out of that. That's because that's that good energy. So we have to transfer and emit positive energy and make sure it gets passed on and it's transferred and emitted to somebody else.
I agree. I agree. Be a light, as they say.
Yeah.
You know.
And I like people with good energy. You
Oh
know.
yeah. As I get older, Chad, especially like if the energy's bad, I'm distancing myself.
Oh
You know,
no.
I don't have time for it at this point. But yeah, like-minded people, positive. That's how like all of us, kind of came together. Like men with positive. I mean, it's never anything negative with Ranger. Even the couple times we all get together, grab wings or whatever. It's and I tell people about real friendships and real brotherhood is when you cannot see somebody for a year or two, even longer. And when you see them that day, y'all pick up like it was yesterday. Y'all saw each other.
Yeah, that's
And
what's
then,
up.
yeah, that's how it's always been. All right. So two more questions. And I think I said two more questions a while ago, but two more questions. The next to last question is if you could go back and, give your younger self some advice or advice you wish someone told you when you were younger, what would it be?
If I go back and get some advice, I would definitely tell my younger self to save money and don't be wasteful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hold on in bad situations and see it through all
Mm-hmm.
the way through.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one, it should have been the first one again. Keep God at my helm. Like keep God first. Pray about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Meditate. Listen to your higher self.
Yeah. Chad, I think one of the reasons why we don't do that when you're younger is because when you're young, you think you're going to live forever. You don't really know, about death. And I mean, but no one your age at that time is really, passing away. It's
Oh,
when we get older, you start realizing like, okay, I'm not going to be here forever. Let me,
our mortality becomes real.
yeah, because when you're in high school, you have a couple classmates may pass, and by college, a couple pass, and you get older, you start realizing. But I will say that earlier, like you said, that someone starts realizing how important God is in their life, the easier their life gets. Because again,
Absolutely.
you have someone to lean on. Because people will let you down sometimes, but God is always there.
He
You
got
know,
you.
he got you. So, all right. And last question, I won't hold you forever. Is there anything that you have upcoming, or anything you want to talk about, or plug anything else that you want to cover while we're on here?
Um, I really don't. I'm thinking about the one thing I can tell you to look for is there's a speakeasy podcast that
Mm-hmm.
two lady friends of mine
Mm-hmm.
have, and they do it from time to time. I think every 2 weeks. It's
Okay.
on Facebook. They're based out of North Mississippi. Check them out and
Okay.
just keep your ear to the ground. Participate politically.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff is changing and happening in Memphis under great leadership. So
Mm-hmm.
let's work on that and know where your kids are at 10 o'clock at night.
That's very true, especially here in Memphis, Jay. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hey, well, brother, man, I appreciate it. It's been a great conversation. I knew it would be. I appreciate, who you are overall. I appreciate the friendship and the brotherhood. And keep doing your thing, man. Again, I'm proud of you.
Likewise, likewise. We gotta get together soon too, bro.
We do, we do. Hey, it's time to throw something on the grill, so we'll
Yes,
make it
sir.
happen.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Again, thank you, man. Have a blessed one, and
Thank
I'll
you.
talk to
You
you
too.
soon.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Life Lessons and Legacy. I hope you found our discussion thought-provoking and inspiring. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback helps us to improve and reach more listeners like you. Remember, life is a journey of growth and discovery, and every experience, both the highs and the lows, contributes to the legacy we leave behind. So embrace each moment, cherish the lessons, and live with purpose. Until next time, I'm Cedric D. Nelson. You can find more resources, including my book, Life, Lessons, and Legacy, How to Take Life's Lessons and Shape Your Legacy. Available for purchase on my website at www.lifelessonsandlegacy.com. Also available on Amazon.com. On my website, you'll also discover information about my life coaching services and speaking engagements designed to help you unlock your full potential and live a life full of purpose. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon.